your city councilman. And the next bit of news here is you may have read about the tiny home pilot program with the Other Side Academy, developing a community for those exiting homelessness to have a place to live at a ultra low to cost, and that in the form of tiny homes, which is something that hasn't been done in Salt Lake City before or anywhere in Utah. And it's something that has been done in other cities and has had positive effects. And so the location for that is not been announced yet. There are a number of locations, I understand, that are being considered across the city, both sides, and that has not been announced yet. And so watch out for more news on that. Also, the third one there, the Salt Lake City Racial Equity and Policing Commission has their public meetings every Wednesday night. Also, their subcommittee meetings. They have subcommittees on school safety, on training, and on, I think, on budget and policy. And then, so that's available also for public comment. The SLC Corps Volunteer Program is a new program out of the mayor's office, which is meant to bring together volunteers from the city, people that want to help people throughout the city, and being able to channel those resources and connect with community partners to get volunteers for projects that will help the community. So the first volunteer project as part of the SLC Corps is a donation drive for the Magnolia, which is a transitional housing unit at First South and Third East. And so that one is actually going to be on June 12th. And the point of that one is to build a kitchen kit for the new residents of this housing complex. And so you can donate new or gently used items on June 12th at that location. And so that fifth link there, number 5, that will lead you to information if you want to sign up to volunteer, to donate. That's another great opportunity. And future opportunities will include cleanup efforts along the Jordan River. We're actively working on that right now. So watch out for more information on that as well. So that's all I have at this time, and happy to answer any questions.
Josh, it was my understanding that the Magnolia drive for the kitchen sets was something that each community council was asked to put a set together, or is that changed?
I believe, it's an invitation to do that, not, a requirement for every community council, though it is an opportunity if community council wants to chip in on the kind of, take part in donating individual items to form this kitchen kit. That's definitely something welcome. And so that link there, you can see a list on Amazon of the different products, and you don't have to buy it there. You can buy it in Amazon. You can buy it at any local store, or if you happen to have a gently used, emphasis on gently used item to donate, that can be accepted as well.
And how do we get things to you?
So actually at that link, you'll see that donation drive, hold it all until June 12th. And then from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on that day is when you can actually drop it off at the Magnolia.
Oh, okay. Is that, okay. So as a board, we'll talk about putting that together, but if there are people interested in helping us with that.
Yeah, I'll get more information from Haley Leak, who's coordinating this, and find out more about, getting a community council effort. If there's anything else that you need to know about that, I'll ask her about that.
Okay. Some other questions for Josh? I know you have to go, Josh, but I did have somebody that called me and specifically asked me about the tiny homes project. And it was their understanding that we were looking at 30 acres, is that, and that you know, I mean, how many places are there that have 30 acres of open land in Salt Lake City? Is
Yeah,
that
that's
correct? That's what we're looking for? And
I,
it's city-owned land. Are you guys looking at city-owned property?
yeah, we're looking. Yeah, obviously, city-owned property would be the easiest because we already own it. But if there happens to be another property that would be, you know, easy, and part of the emphasis here is getting this up and running, as fast as possible. We don't want to have years and years of this being in development. Want to, get this. It's a pilot program, and so this would be something to try out, and see, if it is successful, for it to go to other locations also within the city. And so, yeah, I understand that it's about a 30-acre plot of land that they were thinking, but there are a couple locations that, particularly on the far west and far east side of the city, that could be potential locations for that.
Adam, you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. So Josh, okay, well, thank you so much. And I'll be talking to you later about the mayor coming in July.
Yes, yeah, I will be talking with you about that. Thanks, Dorothy. Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Detective Oliver.
Yeah, good evening. I left my name and my phone number and my email in the chat. Are there any questions, concerns before we start? We had kind of an interesting week. The First Lady flew into the east side of the airport. We had a good couple hours, and then she flew out. So that was something that's always kind of cool to see when you see it wasn't Air Force One. I believe it may have been an Air Force Two or something, but that was always kind of cool. You see fly into Utah.
It was quite an honor, and she got a lot done in 3 hours.
She did, yeah. And it was all on the west side, which was kind of cool to see too. It's not often that you see a lot of that high ranking, I guess you want to say, politicians that stay on the west side of the city. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just a couple of notes. I just wanted to highlight our bike squad again as they came through. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. They in the last week they had a couple of really high-end busts. They seized about $130,000 worth of methamphetamine just south of District 1. So it's just on the border of District 1 and District 2. That was 16 pounds of meth that was that street value. That's pretty ridiculous, to tell you the truth. The one person had $770 of cash, and he also had a stolen firearm on him. So that was just, I want to say, about 4 days ago. So that's encouraging that is off the street. And 2 days ago, they also were able to catch another dealer that had $2,500 worth of cash, and he had heroin, meth, and crack cocaine on him. And that's concerning to us because we're starting to see a lot more of the heavy and hard drugs, narcotics seized in the meth, crack, and the heroin. So that's not something that's really encouraging to us. But they were able to take him off the street as well. So in the last week, they were able to take 9 felonies. They arrested 9 people for felonies. 1 had a firearm. They recovered 4 stolen vehicles. They seized about 5 grams of heroin, 7,303 grams of meth, 5 grams of crack. So they've been really busy in this last week. A lot of it's right on the border, North Temple area and the border of Districts 1 and 2. So they are still working really hard, considering what else we have going on within the city. Are there any questions up to this point?
Yeah, I've got one.
Sure.
Were these the big drug busts that you mentioned, were those a coordinated effort, or was it just a random happy coincidence, or how did those come about?
Suspicious vehicles.
I
So
see.
they weren't coordinated. It was just the bike squad knowing what they're looking for and finding it. So Yeah, none of those were coordinated with any other agency.
Wow, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then just stat wise, let's see if I can pull up our comp stat report. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but all of our comp stat reports, the stuff that the report as far as numbers, can be found on the Salt Lake City Police Department website. It's under resources. Actually, let me tell you for sure where it's at. It's under open data and then comp stat. And then you can just choose District 1 and it has a whole bunch of volumes. And right now we're in volume 7, number 18. So you can go back and look at the prior years, the last weeks or the last months. So it's kind of interesting to look at those. District 1 is violent crime wise we're staying steady. We've had still 17.9% increase in violent crimes in District 1, but that's down from the last couple of times I've reported. So if we can continue that trend down, that'd be great. Our property crimes are still pretty high, 58.9% year to date from last year, which is still concerning. And of course, the number one thing with that is vehicle burglaries. So we're still seeing 107.7% increase in vehicle burglaries year to date. That's always discouraging. And the 63.6% increase in residential burglaries is another concern that we need to try and track down ourselves. So again, you guys know your neighborhoods, you know who should be with in your neighbor's home or walking the streets, and just continue to call us so we can put some more officers in that area. That's pretty much all I have, Dorothy. And if there's any other questions.
Okay, well, we had 2 major burglaries, and Lynn, do you want to talk about them? They weren't too far from your house.
Right, yeah, they were on Alps Way. One, they actually went in and stayed in the home for a little while after ransacking it and taking some money. Another one was intercepted by the homeowner after they had removed a screen and were attempting to enter the basement window. We don't know if it's the same person or if it's a coincidence, but it kind of caught our attention. Last week it happened.
Okay. We did catch one that was probably, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks ago. He was a juvenile and he is in jail, and he should be in jail for a while. He's a pretty prevalent gang member in the, I guess, Rose Park area. Actually, it's just east of Redwood. So he was caught, and he did burglarize a couple homes and stole some firearms. So that was a concern, but he's off the street, and he will be off the street for a while.
I see.
So
okay, that's not the ones we're talking about, is it?
No.
Well, and I don't know if it's connected or not, because I know he's been pretty prevalent in breaking into homes, but one of them has been caught. And I'll have to look specifically and see if there's any suspects on these 2 that are in near your homes.
Yeah, it seemed to be in the middle of the day, not at night, but
Yeah.
daytime.
So
Yeah.
now I had also heard that on the one incident that they actually did some cooking once they broke in.
Oh, geez. So they made themselves right at home.
Is that right, Lynn? That's what you heard?
Yeah, they made some bacon, I understand.
Holy cow. Yeah, I'll definitely have to go and read that report and see
Yeah,
what's going there.
We're not sure what the MO there is, but we thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, but if there's any other questions, and just, I know you're going to be talking about night out. I don't know how the city or the police department is going to be handling night out this year. We still haven't heard. I know our numbers are way down, so I don't know what kind of participation. There will be participation if everything's a go. But I just don't know if it's going to be as extended as it has been in the past. So I'll keep you posted on that as you guys plan your night out.
So that would be really important for us to know. And we're very sympathetic to understanding that. But it really makes a big difference. And of all the things the police department has to worry about, I'm sure this is way down your list, but because we're doing a parade or have done a parade in the past, that becomes a big issue, not only for the safety issues, but it's, I mean, part of the fun is having, the bike squad there and the motorcycles.
Yeah.
And the police. And if that's not going to happen, we understand it, but we really need to know.
Well, if the city gives us the go ahead, we'll definitely get people there. It just might not be as extent like, we might not have SWAT, we might not have the motors in the numbers that we have in the past, but we'll definitely make it happen.
Okay. Okay. Is there a person that we should be talking to, or maybe you can give us their name, whoever is making those final decisions on parade in the past? That's the ones we really need to be talking to.
Yeah, I think it's Dustin Parks, but I'm not positive. So let me do a little bit of research and then I'll reach out to you, Dorothy, and let you know exactly.
Okay. Any other questions for the detective?
I'm wondering why there would be a smaller number, just because of COVID and concerns of that magnitude, or just busy other places?
Just because our numbers are low right now overall.
Okay.
We don't have, majority of the officers have been put back into patrol. So they're in a patrol aspect or job now. So they don't have that ability to adjust or to go to these events. We still have some available, so we'll definitely get them. But yeah.
How many officers are you down now? Do you know?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you a number. That might be a good question for the chief's office, but I know I think we're going to be losing, from what I'm hearing, 7 to another agency in the next few days or weeks. So that's 7 that we don't want to lose, because they're all good officers. But yeah, it looks like they may be going to another agency.
April, do you have some questions? You want to unmute April, you want to unmute yourself?
I don't have questions for Detective Oliver. I do have some other things later.
Okay.
Yeah, but nothing specific for Detective Oliver.
Okay.
And if there's any questions that come up, I've got to take off too. But if there's any other questions, please feel free to call me or send me a text or send me an email.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Detective Oliver, are you leaving us now?
I will be, yes. If there's nothing else, I will be leaving.
Okay, thank you so much. Just don't want to hold you up. April, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, and I'm just going to start my video.
Good.
Hi, I'm April
Hi,
Diaz.
April.
I'm often at the meetings, but not on camera. I live on Starcrest Drive and I border the park. So we see a lot of good stuff and not so good stuff that goes on in the park. And I'm happy to be part of Westpointe Community Council. I like to make and help things happen. So that's me. I've got kids too. I've got kids. I don't know what else you want to know, Dorothy,
kids,
but I do have a plug.
Or TWO?
Say that again.
You said you had kids too. Is that TOO or TWO?
Oh,
Are you telling us how many
Kids,
kids you have, or you also have
also.
children? Okay, I'm just giving you a rough
I've got
time.
3 kiddos.
Yeah, 3. Okay, this is a small group, so I'm being real informal tonight.
I noticed that. I was a little surprised. I usually send out your email that I get from you to a couple of people because they are not on your email list, but I did not get that sent out this month. So I don't know if that's part of the gap or not.
Well, and part of it is
yeah.
changes that happened really late. And
Sorry, there's
anyway, April, what's your observations? What are you seeing that we need to address?
Well, about the park specifically, and I've already reached out to the head of Salt Lake City Parks, but Keith Spears, I think is his name, or Shears, and haven't gotten a great response or movement there. I also reached out to the Reimagine team leader that was on with us last month. But the big issue is lack of equity in our park compared to East Side parks. I used to live downtown East Side, and our park has 2 recycling bins for the entire park. And there should be a recycling bin with every garbage bin. Like, that's how it works at Liberty Park. You go to throw your garbage, you also have a recycling bin right next to it. Often they've done a better job in the past few weeks, but often the garbage cans are all towards the north side of the park and not spread out. So after the weekends, when we've got soccer games and whatnot, there's garbage everywhere, but especially on the west and south sides. When they come and pick up the garbage, usually on Monday, there's a team that comes to clean up the park. They really just hang on the north side of the park. They don't venture much to the south side. I walk the park every day, and I walk that sidewalk and circuit. So that's why I'm kind of notice these little things. But the doggy bag stations is a huge issue. There's dog poop everywhere. I have a dog. I walk my dog. We take dog bags, pick up the poop, but there's feces that aren't picked up. There's feces that are bagged and then left. I don't understand why we don't have dog bag receptacles like the other parks do, where you can dump your dog bag or get a bag if you need a bag. So those are kind of the issues I've brought up with them. We also get, especially as the weather gets warmer, we get teenagers out in the park smoking and selling marijuana, and I don't know what they're selling, if it's marijuana or other stuff. It's been pretty nice during COVID because that activity wasn't as active as the year before COVID. But now that it's getting warmer and school's about to get out, the groups have started again. So we just call the police typically whenever we see a group. The police sometimes get there, the police sometimes don't. Those are my observations of the park. My issues with other things are Starcrest Drive. I really wish we could get speed bumps on Starcrest Drive and Colonel, but I've heard, and I don't know if anyone can validate this, I've heard that that's been taken up with the city before, and because it's a fire truck pathway, that they won't do speed bumps like they have on the east side going up 700 South. Yeah, 700 South, I think it is. As you go east and get higher, there's speed bumps in different neighborhoods where there have been, because speeding is an issue on Starcrest Drive. There's a driver every morning at 5:55 that starts at Starcrest and Colonel and goes all the way down to 700 North, probably at about 50 miles an hour. Those are the issues and the solutions that I have suggested with others. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to share, but I do have a plug to put in for our community council vacancy that's coming up because James Rogers is not running for election. So you know that Blake Perez has already declared that he's running. And tomorrow, officially, I have someone that I know really well that is running for community council, and I would highly recommend her. And if you're interested, I can get you a yard sign and any pamphlets or stuff. But her name, and I'll put it in the chat, her name is Victoria Petro Eschler, and she runs a nonprofit program on the west side music and education, been super helpful. It's called El Sistema. She also has been a director or artistic director of Salty Crickets, which is an organization in Salt Lake, if you're not aware of it, to help provide a place for Utah composers of whatever music, and a place for them to have concerts, to be published, to be heard, to collaborate. She is very active in the West Side community. She's worked with Sugar Space, the Art Sugar Space before, Rise Up's School of Dance, which is new, a nonprofit as of like 3 years on the West Side. She's got a family. She lives in the Rose Park, Fair Park area. Been here, I don't remember how many years, I think 13 at least. Anyway, I think she'd be great. She's endorsed by Luz Escamilla, our neighborhood senator. And I will just put her site in the chat here, and she goes official tomorrow. I think that's it, Dorothy. Was that a fire hose?
No, well, that was really helpful. So what I think one of the things you should be aware of, because we're going to talk about this in at the board meeting, but both Blake and Victoria contacted me, and it's very usual for candidates to approach community council chairs and ask for recommendations. That's a pretty standard type of thing. And my response to both candidates was that I was not going to take a position, and it wasn't personal, but that I feel really strongly that we need to have a really strong competitive race. We haven't had good turnout. The last time James Rogers ran, he was supposed to have 2 other people running against him, but actually neither one of them ever really showed up. And so there really wasn't a race at all. And that was a very critical race, because it was not only a race for the city council, but for the Inland Port Authority board, and there was a whole lot of things. And people in the neighborhood, in my opinion, show up when there's competition, when they feel like their vote matters. When there were issues on the ballot that they cared about, whether it was sales tax on food or medical marijuana, or I'm trying to remember, Jeremy, people showed up. But when that doesn't happen, they don't. And so I think I've told both candidates that, but I wanted the rest of the community to know why I haven't taken a position here. I think it's really early. I'm really glad we have some candidates running, both strong races, and I hope we'd like to be able to have both of them certainly at the night out in August.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about how we want to do that. We're going to be talking about doing debates and some other things. So this should be a really good race, and that's what we need to see. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you are involved and can let us know. As far as the things with the Parks Department, Carla's
and sorry, Dorothy, and it'll be the first time that we do rank voting. This election will be rank voting for this community council position. So just keep that in mind as well. And there may be more candidates that come out of the woodwork, because we have until November, but that might get more voters out.
They have to register. They have to register by June, though. So we'll know if there's more.
That's right. You're right.
They have to register by June. So, and actually, the more people who are running, the more likelihood you're going to get people out. But we'll see what happens. One of the things that we had talked about before about speeding was the city had offered us a whole bunch of signs to put on the road, with lots of little clever type of signs and stuff. And we didn't get them. because we never found anybody who was willing to share the effort to distribute them. So I know you're really busy, but if you're interested in getting a bunch of signs having to do with slowing traffic and that, and you're interested in helping getting them out, I'll follow up on that.
Yeah, for sure. There's at least one other family. He's been on the meetings before too, Lawrence Medina, that lives at the other end of Starcrest that I know would be willing to put a sign up on his end as well. So I could totally, I don't mind spearheading that. If you follow through with that and we have access to signs, I can get neighbors.
I have the contacts, I have the people to do it. I needed a way to get them out. And when it happened, there just wasn't anybody that was available. So I will get back with you on that. I don't want to take up all the time. Maybe Lynn or I don't know, Sharon, do you want to share with April our experiences with the Parks Department getting things done? I don't want to sound like I'm the only wet rag.
I don't know what you want me to share.
Lynn, how about you?
Well, there's bureaucracy and it takes time to get permissions and things. But
We just tried to get 2 signs put up and it took us forever.
Forever is 2 years and it still hasn't been done. And the park has been in existence for 30 years and there are no signs. And although, the woman who is in charge of the reimagine the parks, is it Heather or Heidi, or she's the urban planner. She's very helpful and she has gone out of her way to try to get through the morass of obstacles for us. And she has assured me that we're gonna actually get some signs and stuff. So we did raise money. We have 2 signs for the parks that we funded and had designed and they should be arriving shortly. And what that means is that that's an opportunity for us to do an event at the park with the Parks Department, celebrating the fact that we actually are getting these signs up. And that could be a critical opportunity to talk to them about some of your other concerns. And the other one is,
That would be great.
is that when the mayor comes in July, we need to really plan on having people there to directly talk about those issues. And we can ask her to have people from the Parks Department there to talk about them and respond. So if you'll put something together, I mean, I could take your notes from Sharon and that, but maybe kind of identify what we want from the Parks Department and maybe identify some people in the community, and let's see if we can get them all at our meeting in July. Because I think it'll be hard to get people to the meeting in July. I'm not real, it's July, right? But but maybe if we have, it'll be a Zoom meeting like this. So even if people are on the beach in Malibu, they can still participate. But that may be another approach. That has tended to work in the past because
That sounds good.
either she knows the issue ahead of time and she basically goes to her people and says, we need to be prepared to respond to this here, or if we haven't let them know ahead of time, she'll refer it to them, and then we've had subsequent meetings to follow up on it that we've had, probably wouldn't have arranged otherwise. I think so if you could send that to me, kind of a list of what you want us to be talking about with the mayor, I'll make sure she gets it and I'll see you on it.
Yeah, I'll do that, Dorothy, because she knows who I am. We know each other, and she knows where I used to live and where I live. I don't know if she knows where I live now, but she's big on equity and having been on the east side with her and now being on the west. I'm her west side eye, so, but I can't get information into her very easily. So you being chair of the community council, I think that information will be read. I'll send something on to you.
Well,
We'll get some movement
yeah.
happening, hopefully.
see,
Yeah.
some other thoughts. I don't know what type of a discussion. Adam,
Yes.
wake up here. Come on. I know this isn't your topic here, the park, but you know. So I can't tell if Chris Swanner is still on. It doesn't appear.
No.
He was on at one point, I thought. You want to tell us what's going on with the Swanner property? And I know Chris has always been good about letting us know what's happening, and it's been, you know, I mean, we all are aware that the family needs to sell the property.
Yeah, sure. I can give you kind of a high level overview, I guess, without taking up too much time. But so I don't know if you heard me earlier. I was having some technical difficulties, but I'm with Skinell Properties. We currently have their property under contract and are going through our due diligence process on the property. So going through phase one, which is environmental assessments on the site, some wetland delineation and assessments on the site, discussions with the city, looking at some geotechnical work on the site, so the soils and stuff like that. So it's really early on, going through some site planning, and really the reason, like I mentioned earlier, for calling in tonight is with the potential for this project to move forward, wanted to get involved with the community, I guess, and the folks that would potentially be our neighbors if we were to develop the site, and just start listening in and I guess have, you know, our name then when if things were to move forward. That way you guys, we would already have made contact with you and have a means for dialogue or communication. So,
Lawrence,
any questions on that?
Okay, so Lawrence, just so you know, Adam is with the real estate development company that is now have the Swanner property under contract. And so he's just giving us kind of a little update here. And so we're glad you're joining us. And, you know, April can kind of fill you in on things here on the side. So Adam, there was a lot of work previously done with Ivory on this.
Right.
Okay, does the work that they did in terms of assessing the property and the you know, that analysis, does that work belong to Ivory or does that belong to the Swanners, and do you have access to that information?
We don't have access to the work they have done. So yeah, they own that, or it's not accessible to us. I'll just say that.
Okay, so you're redoing it, or you're doing it.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Some of it's more, I guess, economical to have redone, considering someone's already done it and you're paying them to update it for you. But we are having to go through a similar process and go through the full process that Ivory would have gone through originally.
Great. So Melanie, thank you for joining us. We're just kind of.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry.
That's fine. No, that's great. So the one thing I guess I wanted to leave with you, if I don't know, are there other questions for Adam about the Swanner property?
Where is it located?
The Swanner property is north of the airport. It's to the west of 2200 West. east of 3200. I guess, are you familiar with that area up north of the airport? It's a 434 acre tract, so it's fairly large parcel of ground to the, it's up near like the Duck Club area, if you're familiar with that.
What's the name of it again?
The property is referred to, I guess, is the Swanner property, because it's the Swanner family that's owned it for 100 years or however many years it's been in their family. I think it's been about that long. So it's up just directly north of the airport, kind of where 215 starts, kind of jogs to the east. It's off to the west of there.
Oh, thank you.
So Adam, do you have access to all the proposals that Ivory put together at the different stages?
As far as their development type plans?
Yeah.
No, I think their use would be different than our use. So it's a slightly different type of development than Ivory would have been doing.
Can you share any of that of what you're thinking about doing?
Well, I guess what I can share is, so like I said, we're pretty early on in the process. Canal is an industrial real estate developer. So it would be buildings that would be used for warehousing, distribution, light manufacturing. They're all what are referred to as Class A buildings. So they're aesthetically pleasing, top quality. They're not, they're concrete buildings, you know, like I mentioned, they're architecturally pleasing. They're not a metal building. But it's probably what you've seen go up nearby. I think there's some similar buildings that have gone up south of the Swanner property recently, along 2200 West, just south of the property. So they're tilt up is the terminology for the type of building. It's a concrete building.
So how close is that to the prison?
I will be honest, I don't know the exact proximity to the prison. Where's
It's actually quite a ways from the prison, because
okay?
the prison is at the far end of Westpointe, and then you have the airport in between, and the Swanner property is, as I understand, is to the
Yeah.
east of the airport.
Yeah, the Swanner property, if you're let's see, like 3300 north west, 3300 north would be the north end of the Swanner
Oh,
property.
okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, I want to let you, I don't want to take everybody's time here, but I think one of the things is we did very extensive comments to Ivory,
Yeah.
and Ivory had also was looking at industrial properties
Okay.
and that, and I think you'll find I can, if you get in touch with me, I can make available to you the comments that well, they're actually on our website too. Extensive comments and concerns that we had that would apply to any.
Yeah. So one thing I'll let you know that information not being, in regard to information not being lost, the civil engineer Dominion that was involved with Ivory, we've also engaged Dominion. So that site planning and that information that was, I guess, gathered again from you guys doesn't go lost with Ivory not handing over anything to us. So we have the same common civil engineer involved. So some of the concerns with the adjacency to the residential on the east side of the property, we're aware of that. Some of the concerns with sightline and berming, you know, and landscaping along the east side of the property along the residential, and traffic concerns on 2200 West, or North 2200 West. Some of that information hasn't been lost. So, but I would love to connect with you and gain some more insight.
Okay, and have you talked with the city about the North Point master plan update?
We have.
Okay, and you're aware that they have a consultant there in the process of engaging to do that?
Yes, yeah. We actually met with planning last week and then talked with their transportation group earlier this week. And some of that conversation was regarding the North Point small area plan update.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, Westpointe's been pushing for a master plan update for that open area off 2200 West now for a long time, and they finally have. We wrote a letter with our questions and concerns, and they did incorporate that into the plan process. And I don't think they've actually announced the consultant, but I think that's going to be coming. My understanding was they were still working on the contract. So
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be focusing on our efforts. So I'm glad you're working with them. So if you need anything, let us know. And we'll have you, we are planning on having the consultants come and speak in July.
Okay.
They'll probably just do an introduction and stuff. So if you've already met with them, but you know, we're gonna be, anyway. I'm really glad you're here, Adam, and thank you for coming. And I want to just before we I lose everybody here. One of the things that I really want to, let's see, I asked specifically Melanie to come because I had talked to her about the night out. And I think I've talked with some of the members of the board that are here. Lawrence, did you have something that you wanted to? I don't want to go off on a tangent and not get to whatever topics you wanted us to address. Lawrence, unmute yourself. April, tell Lawrence that he doesn't have his. Oh, Lawrence. Okay. So the night out, we have written the grant and we have 2,500, the grant that we wrote to the city. This is the 4th year that I've been involved with the night out. The night out has probably been happening at the Westpointe Park for probably 10 years. I don't know. Is that right, Lynn?
I think maybe even a little bit longer than that, ever since they
Built the
used to call
park.
it Night Out Against Crime.
Crime, right.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, so it's probably 15. The last 3 years, we have done it jointly with Jordan Meadows. The first year that we did it with Jordan Meadows, it was really kind of a name only. We didn't have a lot of people from Jordan Meadows show up. But the next 2 years, we did parades from Jordan Meadows to Westpointe, and truly we did have a combined event and a really diverse group of people and a lot of kids. And I think people, and it has grown remarkably. And we had 700 people the last time we did this. And we actually were able to keep track of how many people. I mean, we weren't just pulling it out of the air. We actually had numbers that we were tracking to find out how many people. So we had $2,500 from the city last year to do the event. The money, we didn't have it because of COVID, and the board decided not to spend it. And then again, we applied this year, we got another $2,500 that is dedicated for this year's event. And so we really need to make a decision and start planning that event, because we're only about 2.5 months away. It's the 1st of August. The good part about it is we have done this before. You know, the part that's a little, you know, concerning here is that kind of like this meeting tonight, this is the smallest meeting we've had, and I don't know how long, a long time. And I do think that the event can be a really fun event. I mean, we've been all kind of locked up for a long time, and we can get out as a neighborhood and celebrate and have a good time and enjoy it. And it can just be that, and it should be fun. But we can make it really miserable if we make it difficult and hard and can't find volunteers and basically keep screwing around about not doing this. And we haven't been screwing around. I say that but we've had a lot of other events. I mean, we have already put on 2 different, you know, we had the big Arbor Day event, which was a tremendous success on that. And we did 122 trees. It was the biggest tree giveaway Tree Utah had ever done. And of the, you know, they had 90 trees to give away, and there are 2 left that are sitting in my backyard, of which 3 people have told me they're interested in having. So, I mean, it was very well organized and put well together, but as a result, we had planned on doing that in the fall. You know, there were reasons to do it now, and that's kind of, that pushed back our efforts on the night out. So,
I think it's just what it was, and you don't have to worry about it. You did good, and you just got to move forward. So what are you guys planning on? What are you thinking about for this night out event? Like, what kind of things are we thinking we want to have? Kind of things to get the kids to be involved and more fun. What are we thinking about that, Dorothy?
So the grant that we wrote basically talked about 5 things and that we were planning on doing. And we always knew that we have flexibility about what we could do, that things are evolving as we are in the situation. So, but we said that we would do a parade and that, and we need to decide what type of parade. We do have people from Jordan Meadows who are willing to lead the parade effort. But we don't know how involved the police department and the fire department are going to be, because they're really critical parts. So we need to have somebody follow up on that. And there's been some questions. The police department had always recommended a water parade. And okay, I don't know. Let's see. The people that are here, how many of them have been to the night out? I mean, Lynn has, Sharon has, you know, the 3 board members here have. But the police department had recommended to us to do a water parade because it's August and it's 1.25 miles of walk from the school in Jordan Meadows to the park. And so their advice was to do a water parade, which was great. We had kiddie pools along the stretch of the parade. And I have a whole storage shed full of water toys that you can fill up with water and squirt people with that are left over from ones that we did from before. And we're going to use last year, but didn't. And kids filled up with water at the beginning, and we gave them t-shirts, and we had the stroller brigade, and we had the police and the fire department, and we had the bees and Eddie the Eagle and a bunch of mascots, and Real Salt Lake has said they'll send somebody this year. So, you know, but we need a decision about the water, because I think people have asked whether, given that we're going to have a drought, we all are aware of that, whether we can still do a water parade. So those are the issues that have to do with the way, but I think you know, part of it is the parade. The second part, yeah.
The second part, keep going. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, so the second part that we've always done is we've had booths. So Lynn can, and Sharon can jump in on this stuff. We've had booths and we've invited all sorts of people to come and put up their booths. And last year we had 50 booths. So one of the
Wow.
issues is that's a lot. But we were really well organized and we had, we did it really well and it went well on that. And booths provide information and they, but they also provided activities for the kids. And when we did the survey at the end of the last year to evaluate it, there was the survey, 61% of the people responding to the survey said they wanted the booths to highlight home-based businesses, which we have never done. And the idea was that, this is a local event. We're not competing with the Pride Parade. We're not competing with Salty Utah or Craft Utah. It's a local event. And given the pandemic and the need to really connect with our neighbors better, and also the need to really grow some of those home businesses, that we ought to really support that. And that was decided in 2019. And if we're going to do that, probably need to reaffirm that. So, then we really need somebody to kind of lead that effort. And I've talked a little bit with Melanie about some of her ideas of doing that and that, because I think it's a whole different group of people that we've never involved before. So what's your thoughts?
I just have a quick question about that. And Sharon, I know you have some questions too, because I see you already. So I was just going to ask real quick is with the home-based businesses, and how would you, I think that's so super cool. Like that's such a great idea, because with COVID, a lot of people turn to home type of things, either like home growing, maybe, home-based business is good too, but also it could depict like what you did during COVID. A lot of people brought up like woodwork.
Melanie, we're losing your voice.
Still can't hear you.
Now, can you see, while she's gone, can you see all of her stuff?
Yep.
That's her business in the back. Lynn, can you help us?
No, she's not on mute. It could be the microphone has.
Oh, because she's going to go to a different computer. Okay. Or how can that be if we've got the photo, but not the sound? 1 second. Okay.
She went to mute. Now unmuting. Try it now. Nope,
No.
didn't work.
Oh, Lawrence, are you back? Lawrence, can you talk to us? Okay, Lynn, is April and everybody's muted because they've muted themselves or because we're muting them?
No, they've muted themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just mute myself so we don't get background noise.
Okay. Well, if you're muted, April, you can't yell at Lawrence to.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
This is Lawrence, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, all right, I'm here.
Thank you for coming. And,
Yeah, I joined late, it was my granddaughter's birthday, so just got back from the celebration.
Congratulations, Grandpa. You did good, kind of secondhand good, but good nonetheless. April talked about you while you weren't here.
I hope it's good.
Well, we're not saying otherwise, so.
Yeah.
So I think we've lost.
We've lost Melanie.
We did lose Melanie.
Maybe
She was trying to
tried.
come back in with a different device, I think. So I'll
Oh.
just watch the,
So Lawrence, one of the things that April talked about was, some of her concerns at the park and also some of the speeding and the traffic on Starcrest. Do you want to chime in on some of your issues?
Yeah, they speed from 7th North all the way to 10th. They're on Sir Charles. Also, I think it'd be great if they put maybe some dips here by the school, at least 3 to 4, just to slow down the traffic. They don't have to be too deep, but enough to slow down the traffic. There's so many cars, people who park on the street. The they're not paying attention, speeding or texting, and they had their cars wrecked. I think I could count at least a dozen since I lived here. I've been here for over 30 years now, and this street, as time goes on, it's more of a raceway. I wish they could do something to slow down. I fear for these school kids going in and out to school. We're just fortunate there hasn't been a fatality with the school kids.
So Lawrence, where are you? Are you on Colonel Drive or are you on Sir Charles?
I'm on Starcrest Drive.
You're on Starcrest.
I just live here right across the street from the school.
And the school you're talking about is Escalante.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. See, Sharon lives on Sir Charles. That's why I was, so she's not very far from you. And I know April isn't.
April lives on Starcrest too. She's on the north end.
Yeah.
And I'm about, just south of her. But we know the traffic's terrible, the speeding. It'd just be wise to maybe a couple of dips or small bumps or something, just enough to slow down the traffic. It's really getting, as the years go on, more people are, I fear, who park on the street. A lot of damage happens to the cars.
So we're gonna have the mayor come. And so April, before you were able to get here, we talked a little bit with April about a strategy. So maybe April, you can kind of talk with Lawrence about what we've kind of got planned, and then we can talk about it after the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
So that we, so we're not dropping this and that. And then Melanie?
Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
I had to quickly change computers.
Okay, you were saying about your vision of how you thought these booths could work.
Yeah, I was thinking, does it have to be home-based businesses that have been established already, or can it be home-based, like crafters and stuff? Is the business the type of thing that you're looking for, or just people who learned to craft through COVID and now do it kind of thing? So just asking some questions real quick.
I think we're open for ideas.
Okay.
That's kind of what's great is we get to make our own rules and what we want. I think the idea was that 2 years ago when we talked about this, I think Sharon wasn't part of that circuit, but Lynn was. The idea was that there were home-based efforts where people could come to the park. We weren't interested in actually having people sell things, because that means that we have to be responsible for the sales tax. And this event has never been one to sell things. There's lots of other things that you can do to spend money on. But the idea was so that people could showcase what they're doing and either take orders or have people order online. And maybe we could even provide help to people and have them order through a website that we set up.
That's cool. How are you wanting to come about? What are you thinking? So I think that's a great idea, to be honest, because I know a lot of people, even in this area. I just moved in and we just met some people who've started doing some things for themselves and learning. and just implementing it. And I think that would be really cool to have for like get together after COVID, is to kind of maybe get like a ragtag of group of people that may not have a business, but might say, hey, I have this craft, or I learned this skill, or I did this, and this is how I coped through COVID. Because I met a guy right here, Javier, who's right by our house, and he is a customer service worker, but he built his own deck, and he built his own slide coming off of his deck, and he just lives right here. And I thought that was so cool. And I think people just want somebody to talk to and say, hey, we're the same.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think that would be kind of fun if we could get a couple people, maybe not only selling, but just like people who might want to say, this is what I did through it. This is kind of how I survived. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Lynn, you're one of those people that did a lot of home renovation during this time, and
Well, yeah, I didn't do it myself though, but
Uh,
it's hard to display that in a booth or something. But I like the idea of sharing people's hobbies, almost like an art show or a gallery, or a, oh, what do you call it? The talent show, but just with visual objects and things.
Yeah. I don't know how we could make that work, but to be honest, I think the people I've talked to, just walking around, we've all had the same thing: fear, scared, coping, going forward, and what we do. And maybe if we found like a group of people who might want to say and show examples of what they did and how they coped through it, and then, or maybe that could be one booth or something, maybe that could be one booth and the rest can be home based. I think it would be cool just to mix like one or two things in there that's not really business wise, but like survival wise. This is how I survived and this is how I coped mentally. So I think that would be cool. Maybe like limit it to a few and then do the home based and crafts and orders and that kind of cool thing. Show your wares and people in. I don't know. I think I like that idea, but I don't know how that would be implemented or what you guys think about that.
Sharon, what are you thinking?
Well, when you and I talked, we were talking maybe about house improvement ideas. So that's kind of more what I was thinking we were going to do, but the coping might be a really good thing too.
Well, I think that it could be.
But I don't know anybody who does anything, so.
You don't garden?
Oh, yes, that's why my face is red. I've been trying to get the weeds out of my plot so I can put my garden in.
See, I think that is part of the beauty of the surviving. You did what you needed to do, the beauty of finding it through the pandemic and now sharing that with the people and say, hey, I'm the same as you. We've got the same thing and we're a community and we can grow together through this crap kind of stuff. So I think it would be cool to like implement a couple of different things if you could, like in a small scale, obviously, not too overwhelming or not too weird or anything.
Or you could have like a sign-up sheet for people that would like to get together after, put their emails and get together that way.
Yeah, like a group of people that you could be friends with that aren't, and I think that's what the community wants. They want to know they're not scared anymore. And that's what a lot of people I've talked to just in my small group of, where do I live? Wildflower Drive. So just in my small group of community by Dorothy, it's just people who want to say, hey, this is what I did. This is how I did it. And they may not like accolades, but they just want to say, this is how I coped. And this is how you could have coped, or this is how you can cope further. Yeah.
We could do something like, I've seen boards, you have pictures that you put your things on, but we could also do a slideshow and maybe have a tent so that's darker, right? That's one of the
Well, we were talking about doing something like a movie or something too.
Right. And
Let's
if we
talk
did,
about that.
yeah, then we could show slides of what people did. I mean, the other thing that we could do is we could have like people could submit their ideas of what they had done. And then we could come up with, I don't know if people would do this, but we could have like a sign that we would put on their yard. You know, I survived by gardening, or, you know, I'm a garden warrior, or so that as you went through the neighborhood, you could say, oh, I saw that. They had a slide that they showed that. And, you know, I understand they have great zucchinis that don't taste like zucchini. You know, or, I mean, something like that. And people, I don't know if we could get a really good, if we do the movies. That maybe we could use that same.
So here's an idea. I think it was a night out that I did before living in this area, and it was great. There were food trucks in the parking lot that provided the food, and then there were lots of tables and booths around representing. And then there was the Lady League, or League of Lady Voters. Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they were kind of gathered. They had like a section of the grass. I don't know if there was a tent, I can't remember, but it was a clear section that was sectioned off for them. And I loved it. That's where I got some information, and plus there were candidates there. Loved the food trucks. Then we loved all the little booths that were fun, particularly for the kids. But why couldn't we have like a section with a tent or a canopy that was like the COVID survival tool canopy area, and you have tea there, like, you know, one of those containers that has the hot water, or multiple of those, and then cups and teas in packets. So it creates that feeling of like sit and stay for a while, relax, converse, with a few little tables. That's what I remember from the lady voting area, that they had some tables there where people could sit down, they could chat and visit. And in that canopy area, you could also have like a board, like y'all were talking about, either where people could put pictures of what they had done, or they could sign, like they do a lot of times at 5Ks for different causes, where they write their, you know, I survived COVID by gardening. I survived COVID by remodeling my house. And then a sign-up sheet where people could say, hey, if you want to learn more about gardening, here's my info. Give me a call. If you want to learn about putting a slide in your house, here's my information.
April, the event you're talking about, was that at Westpointe Park?
Yep, it was at Westpointe, and there was a parade that ended. We were invited by.
That's right, and we had we called it the political patio.
Okay, that was it. It was great. I mean, that was quite a few years ago. Like I said, we didn't live here, but we had a blast.
Good. Oh, that's good.
And the food trucks were an awesome addition. In fact, just as a side note, I wish we could do food trucks there once a week, like Friday night food truck park, or Monday night. They do something like that up in Foxborough, North Salt Lake, in their water pad and park. And the food trucks, people just know Monday night from this time to this time, if they don't want to cook, they can go get the food trucks down the block. And we need to create a lot of activity, community activity in the park, and that's going to push out the gang activity, the graffiti, the drug selling.
Those are great ideas. Yeah, and things that, some of which we could do before the event, and some which we could, because bringing the food trucks in is certainly one. Well, it is now 8:35. If Allison was here, she would be, no, she goes this way. You know, that's what she, yeah, she kind of, So I'm gonna wrap it up, but I think what I'd like to do is, you know, to get this thing going, one, it has to be fun. We cannot stress about this. This has got to be a really fun event. The woman that was willing to do this, her name is India, from like the country, but anyway, but she has done this a lot and is real excited in that. And so I'd like us to get together, but I'm thinking that maybe the next time can we do this in person? I mean, I'm thinking that
You
I
okay?
can. I've got a mask.
and that, and then have kind of assignments that we can follow up on. When's the time that people are most available? So April, I know you're working and you've got some boards and stuff. When are you available?
Oh, it's hit and miss depending on the season, but 7 o'clock, the evenings are best for me, like 7 on.
And we're talking weekends or weekdays?
Weekdays. And then weekends, the same too, probably.
Or just saying
Weekends I could do earlier.
Melanie, what about for you?
I'm available evenings. 7 o'clock is good, and I can do weekdays, and I can do weekends. I'm pretty open right now until I get another job, so I'm good.
Okay, so you want to meet a week from today at 7? I'll host it at my house.
Wednesday the 19th at 7.
April, does that work?
You
Sharon,
do a
how about you?
Zoom or what? I can do it anytime.
Lynn, what about you?
Yeah, I'm just around the corner. That could work.
Lynn's got, I mean, we could
So
do it.
I won't be able to.
Will it be a Zoom call or were we gonna meet in person?
I was thinking of it in person. That's what I was trying to get some feedback on.
Okay,
So Thursdays would be better for me
So
than next
Thursdays,
Wednesday. Thursday at 7.
We've got a board meeting next Thursday.
So, yeah, so maybe what we ought to do is have you guys, have both of you, April and Melanie, just join us at the board meeting. Let's do
Okay.
that. That means that is a Zoom meeting,
yeah.
but
Sure.
let's do that, set that up. I'll send you the agenda for it. And maybe we can, let me talk with both of you in between so that when we come to that meeting, you know, we have kind of a proposal in each of the areas that you've both talked about. So Melanie, the things that you've talked about, let's have a proposal. Maybe it's just something for people to react to.
Yeah.
And that, and I think April, you know, your ideas about, I can have the League of Women Voters there because I had gotten them the last time. And Kathy Beal, who has just wrote an article in the City Weekly that you can look at, helped with it. I could have her there. And, you know, if you could have your ideas about the food trucks, I think that would be really helpful. And then I think that
Sure.
we have really struggled on the food trucks. And so to have some positive, that would be really helpful. And if you had a proposal or some ideas, then we could take it in, not just for that date, but before that. There's no reason why we can't do this before that.
Yeah, the food trucks, you have to have.
Yeah,
the permission
especially for the
to
summer.
come.
Say again, Sharon.
I said the food trucks, you have to have a permit for them to be able to come.
Right, and that is, yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. It's now 8:40. And we'll be talking with you, and Adam, keep us informed. Allison, you know, we hope to have you at our our meeting next month when Sitla comes.
Well, thank you very much for letting me come today.
And
It may not be
also,
me next month. We kind of rotate through everybody, but somebody will be there next month. So we're really excited
well,
to be
you're
part of
certainly
it. Thank
welcome
you.
to our board meeting here. So with
Great,
that,
thank you.
I think, thank you all for coming. And, you know, for
I would
October-
just, let me just mention that the meeting on next Thursday is gonna be not Zoom, but something called Google Meets. Slightly different way to get into it, but I think Allison will send out an email with a link that you can register, kind of like this one.
and if you have a proposal, we'll have, you know, what we'll do is we'll come up with it, and then Allison can, we'll give it to Allison and she'll show it for us on the screen for us so that you don't have to worry about it. And I'll send out your minutes for that too, Sharon. Thank you so very
Okay.
much.
So
And,
you did get them this time.
oh yes, I finally did. It's always,
Okay.
and you did a great job. It turned out really nice. So, Lynn, you want to say anything else here, or what have I forgotten?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, so as Allison would say,
Bye-bye.
I want all of you to tell Allison that I did not go this long, because she'll never let me forget it. So